I don't think it's any of that. I think he's under a lot of pain, and then when it becomes the women, for sure, shut your phone off. I've only been podcasting 13 years.
It's not my phone. It's your phone, mother.
Slap me. Slap me.
Okay.
Do it again. I'm sorry, dude. God damn it. When has that ever happened? When has that ever happened?
Well, you ran out of those.
When has that ever fucking happened?
That's great.
And now I'm going to slap the person calling me.
Slap him.
It's not my wife. God damn it. I'm going to slap Don.
No, don't slap the dog. Don't slap the dog.
If podcasting is an art form, then Brendan Schaub is the Leonardo da Vinci of the industry, a Renaissance man in every facet, from his days as a high school athlete, receiving no college athletic scholarship offers, instead paying his way into college where he would go on to be undrafted in the 2006 NFL draft, and then getting released from the Utah Blaze in the Arena Football League without making the roster. Forced into retirement at the age of 24, Schaub then went on to train in boxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, eventually making his way into the UFC 2 years later, where he would flourish in the heavyweight division, losing 4 of his last 6 fights, 3 of which by knockout. However, after close friend and podcasting legend Joe Rogan encouraged him to rethink his career in MMA and consider moving into podcasting and stand-up comedy, Brendan would seize the opportunity to announce his retirement from the sport and take his talents on stage and into the studio. A true modern-age polymath, Brendan would contradict all the haters and soy boys who laughed at him instead of with him, securing his first comedy special on Showtime just 4 years into his career as a stand-up comic. But with an IMDb rating of 1.4 stars out of 10, Brendan found himself at a crossroad. Do I apologize to the comedy world and open a gym back in Colorado where I can lead a quiet life, raising a small family, attending all their baseball games, and pass on all my athletic knowledge and abilities to a new generation? Or do I carry on unscathed, push through all the hate, and prove to the world that I belong on stage behind a microphone, making people laugh? Naturally, Brendan chose the latter option, continuing his comedy career and releasing his second comedy special on YouTube 3 years later, titled Gringo Papi, a clever play on words because his wife is Mexican and he's white, and he's also a father, so that would make him the white daddy? I think that's right. Hey, fuck you guys, it's funny, alright? Anyway, sorry, where was I? So Gringo Papi ended up with an even lower rating of 1.1 out of 10, making it the worst comedy special ever released in history, on paper at least. Luckily though, Brendan, who fancies himself as a bit of a business shark, always had a backup plan. You see, Bappa talks for a living, and thanks to his close relationship with superstar comedian and legendary podcaster Joe Rogan, Brendan was an early adopter of the podcasting format with The Fighter and the Kid, which was a joint effort between himself and Hollywood extra Brian Callen. Schaub would also go on to spread his talents across other podcasting ventures, including a 3-year stint on The King and the Sting with widely loved comedian and podcaster Theo Von, which turned into The Golden Hour, as well as his own solo podcast The Schaub Show, both of which are still in production despite extraordinarily poor performance. Meanwhile, Theo Von's solo podcasting venture has gone on to perform amongst the best podcasts in the world. And so this would become a theme for Brendan Schaub. His extraordinarily poor performance in any facet would see him become frustrated with the world around him, resulting in some of the most embarrassing scandals on the internet, from trug wargs gone wrong to 300 pages of missing evidence to hundreds of thousands of dollars wasted on beast lawyers pursuing unwinnable lawsuits. Brendan went from high school athlete to UFC heavyweight to stand-up comedian to a massive fucking lolcow podcaster who can barely string a sentence together. Oh, I think he's a car guy as well. For some of you, this might be news. For others, this story is all too familiar. You see, Brendan fancies himself as a man of many talents, an athlete, a comedian, a thinking man, a beast of a baseball dad. But where Joe Rogan has flourished with his down-to-earth, relatable character who asks his guests the questions we're all thinking, Brendan doesn't have access to guests. So it's up to him and his co-hosts, and increasingly his producers these days, to provide the hot takes and analysis on topics that all of them know absolutely fuck all about. Brendan calls this the deep dive.
No, you did. I know you like these deep dives.
Yeah, that's why I wake up and like the deep dive on this stuff.
Yeah, I gotta get some.
I've covered many a deep dive on this channel, most recently from Brendan Schaub, the lawyer.
Whether you're guilty or not, whether they find you guilty or not, whatever they're gonna find you, whatever he's gonna, appeal this, whatever the end of the verdict is, whatever it is, even if in the retrial or whatever, in the what word am I looking for?
Appeal?
Even the appeal.
And so even after butchering Conor McGregor's recent civil lawsuit loss, where Brendan repeatedly displayed his lack of knowledge on complex legal matters, he recently went on to counsel McGregor in his business affairs as well.
So his nut is this every month, and you can't get out of those. And those boats, and again, unless he paid all cash, which hopefully he did for all this, so he doesn't have a big, huge nut every month, but chances are he didn't pay all cash. So his monthly nut, just based off what we see online, is a few $1 million a month. Most of that was taken care of from the nut he was getting every month. I keep saying nut, sorry. Most of that was taken care of from the money he was getting from Proper 12. I'm getting $5 million a month. That covers my nut every single month. So you go from your nut of making $10 million a month to zero.
So to clarify for those of you who have no idea what in the fuck he's talking about there, when you're rich and you can't beat the allegations, you have less money, so you can't afford to continue living the high life. Those are the basic nuts and bolts of it. But it was this past week where we really saw Brenda go off the deep end with his take on the healthcare CEO shooter, where true to form, he identified with the CEO and not the shooter. Now, all jokes aside for a moment, because this is actually a fascinating look into this guy's brain. And just to cleanse the palate and set the tone, let's look at two hot takes from people who have managed to successfully read the room with regards to the CEO shooter situation, and then compare it to Brendan's breakdown.
You know what's annoying me about this kid who killed this CEO is none of these news programs are talking about the incredible lack of empathy from the general public about this because of how these insurance companies treat people when they are at their most vulnerable, after we've all given them our money every fucking month, and now we finally need you, and all you do is deny us. And then these pussies and all of these things are taking the pictures of their CEOs off their websites. You know, I got to be honest with you, okay? I love that that fucking CEOs are fucking afraid right now. You should be. By and large, you're all a bunch of selfish, greedy fucking pieces of shit, and a lot of you are mass murderers. You just don't pull the trigger. That's why it looks clean. That's why these people look, oh my God, oh, he was just, you know, walking into a hotel. It's like, okay, but what was his job? What did he do? What was the results of it?
Well, Jamie and I were just talking, and they think they have a photo of the guy who whacked that insurance CEO.
Oh, yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, they think they have a photo of his face now.
Oh, they do, huh?
Well, I would think with
From
the
around
amount
the
of
time
cameras.
or they picked it up later.
I think, you know, there's cameras everywhere now.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, some guy who got fucked over. Apparently that company is really bad on denying claims.
34% denial rate.
And
Something
normal's
like, that.
like 16.
Yeah.
So those guys.
I don't think anybody's going to be crying too hard over that guy.
Yeah, maybe his family, but that's about it.
Yeah.
It's a dirty, dirty business. The business of insurance is fucking gross. It's gross.
At a moment where the stakes are high, the tension between rich and poor is on a knife's edge, and the social contract with government is hanging by a thread, Bill Burr managed to capture the thoughts of the masses without inciting violence, without condoning murder, and without spreading hatred. He simply said the quiet bit out loud in the most Bill Burr way possible. Joe Rogan and his guests also understood the underlying tensions at play between the insurance industry and the everyday person. Brendan Schaub, on the other hand, had a much simpler explanation. Nothing to do with politics or sociology, no accounting for cost of living pressures or economic conditions. See, our boy Bupper understands these things on a more human level. He put himself in the shoes of the man himself. We've seen Brendan the lawyer, Brendan the business shark, and Brendan the accountant. Now we have Brendan the criminal psychologist. Hey, real quick, how many chicks you guys fucked?
Apparently this kid, smart kid, wicked smart kid, clearly his hero's the Unabomber, but Ted Kaczynski. Mm-hmm. But apparently his family, he became estranged from his family. He got a back injury, like a really bad back injury, and they did surgery, I guess, and it didn't help. And since then it just mentally broke him. And I guess he was saying like he can't have any physical contact with women because his back's so fucked up. Like he can't have sex. What? So that just drove him crazy.
Look at that. Are those really his screws?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, those are the biggest screws I've ever seen in my fucking life. What's going on there? What is that? Hold on. I don't believe that's a real picture.
So, but back to him, apparently this kid did that and never got fixed. So he was in agonizing pain all the time and couldn't be intimate with women, and it drove him crazy. like legit crazy. So he didn't speak to his family for at least a year. His friends and family on his social media reached out, were like, hey, hope you're okay. His one like best friend was like, hey man, trying to plan the wedding. You committed to it. What's going on? Get back to us.
Damn.
He was in Hawaii. Yeah, I know people that have those huge screws.
Well,
and
just
they're
from
not
football and stuff like that.
And sometimes that's why they
And
get
it
away
helps-
with
and
it.
it helps it.
Yeah, sometimes it helps.
Yeah.
But for him, it didn't take. Who knows what happened?
God.
Who knows if it was a botched surgery?
That looks like a joke. I mean, I can't believe
But
that's real.
I'm sure there's other ways you can deal with it. You know, the PRP, stem cells. You go down to Tijuana. Think about it. That CEO would probably still be alive if this kid went down to Tijuana.
What I heard is like, I don't know how he injured his back, but he tried to go surfing afterwards, and then it was just he was in pain for like weeks after.
But apparently he got in a really bad frame.
But that's why he got the
was
surgery.
telling his buddies like, dude, I can't even have sex. Like it hurts too bad. Like I can't be intimate with women.
I think that he might have just gone crazy. There's a thing. Young people, young men, schizophrenia and stuff like that kicks in when they're in their 20s.
See, I don't think that's.
You never know.
I don't think
Maybe
it's,
the drugs he was taking. Who the
No,
fuck
I don't think
knows?
it's any of that. I think he's under a lot of pain, and then when it becomes the women,
It says he had pain for years, but it doesn't say exactly how he got it.
That
friends
kind
have
of
revealed
pain,
he had been dealing with severe
it
back
can
pain
make
for
you
years.
crazy.
Make you crazy and just be like, and everything's dark, like fuck this world, and then you can't hook up with chicks. So then you wouldn't call him an incel, right? Usually incels, because it's not that he hated women. Clearly, women like him, he just can't bust nuts.
There's something. So that's a good looking boy right there. Okay.
That is fucking brilliant. Honestly, when I heard this for the first time, I paused and I thought to myself, what did we do to deserve such high-grade podcast slop? Our boy Buppa's got it all figured out. Despite the protests of his producer and co-host, it had nothing to do with the manifesto found with the guy or the socioeconomic climate, and sure, this kind of shit builds up over a long period of time with various factors involved. I mean, it's a complex situation with a lot of moving parts. I'm sure you've all heard this by now, but the healthcare company the CEO was in charge of had the worst policy payout ratio in the entire industry. But not for Brendan. Nope. Bro just needed to bust a nut. Fucking amazing. That has to be one of the most redacted takes I've ever heard come out of his mouth. I mean, that's the kind of explanation you'd expect from a middle schooler joking around with his buddies, not a 41-year-old baseball dad of the year. However, as per usual, things got worse. And can I just say, what's with this endless fascination these days with SA in prisons? First, we heard Andrew Schultz fantasizing about it over Kendrick Lamar, and now our boy Buppa has let his own prison fantasy slip.
This kid had a crazy IQ as well, so I'm sure he related to the Unabomber in that sense. And then you have this super darkness because you're always hurt, and then you can't bust nuts, and you're an attractive dude. So I guess you roll up on it.
But to kill someone, come on, dude. I mean, if I'm like in insane, crazy pain, guess who I'm gonna kill?
Your dog.
Myself.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Or the doctor that put the screws
No.
in, no.
No, you to end the pain because
But I could see that
for
happen.
him your pain's gonna get worse, dude. Also, that CEO had nothing to do with your back.
You're f***ing with that guy's family too. Everyone that loves him, like you can't do that to someone.
Also, that guy's
agree.
not recommending that doctor. It had nothing to do with the screws.
No, he's just a.
But also, dude, you come for money. So there's other avenues you could have took to figure this back pain out. Your back pain's gonna be so bad in prison.
Oh my God.
You know what the beds are like at Pelican Bay,
my
son?
God, yeah, I was gonna say.
They're not memory foam, bud. You know?
You're not
Like,
gonna have a posturepedic back thing.
Oh, you think you have back problems now?
Yeah.
You just pulled landscaping duty, bud. Yeah. You know? That's how that goes.
And also, he'll get raped in jail. He's a good-looking guy. That's gonna give him crazy back pain if he's gonna
it's
get.
gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt.
Yeah, you're gonna have to lay down and take it.
Yeah, nobody when they're taking you from behind, nobody's going, "You're back okay on this?" Is this
No, not in
sir?"
prison. No, they're not gentlemen about it.
they're not
Then you have to lay down. Then you go, oh, there's limp fish. He's bad, you know? And then you get that label.
Yeah.
You already have mental issues.
Goddamn.
And you're limp fish in prison.
It's gonna be a bad time for him.
His back's going to get blown out in prison, man.
Yeah.
They might fix it. Because he has a pinched nerve. You just got to wiggle that bad boy out, boy. Let the homies
goodness.
run the train.
Well,
Wiggle it out.
Yep. All you got to do is wiggle it out, B. Thank him. But like I was saying, it's interesting to see how none of them understood the connection between the actual CEO that got shot and the company he worked for compared to the entire healthcare industry. Not to mention the shooter was apparently just getting started. And as usual, the comment section did not disappoint. Mixed in with all the paid bots were some clearly agitated listeners. Hearing Brendan speak about this shooter is hilarious. The horrible take, the continued use of the word compromised, and the mispronunciation of all the words. I love this. Thank you, Brandon. Do they all have CTE? Their take on Luigi is embarrassing. So many minutes wasted because these guys don't even know why Luigi killed the CEO. You know Brendan comes from money because he's been able to go this far in life dressing and having the mindset of a middle schooler. Even if you don't agree, it's easy to understand why he did it. Brendan and Brian missed the point so hard because they're so out of touch in their little bubble. Brian totally misses the point of why Luigi shot the CEO of United Health. Crazy. So you'd think that after trying to milk the CEO shooter story over the last 3 episodes, with special thumbnails and everything, they'd have actually done some basic research and understood the various motives of the alleged shooter, other than needing to bust a nut. But as usual, they misread the room and came up with the most dogshit take possible. And the funny thing is, Brenda wasn't trying to be funny. He was actually being serious. He really thought he'd figured it all out. But there is one saving grace about Mr. Schaub. He has a tendency to blurt out the truth from time to time. We all know he has a track record of lying through his teeth about almost everything. Remember when he said this earlier this year in an interview?
From the outside looking in, I mean, we're not in your head. From the outside looking in, like you mentioned at the very beginning, broad shoulders. You can just like sweep it off and on to the next thing. Let's keep going. Unlike anybody I really have ever seen.
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. It's my dad, just work ethic. So I hate, I'll have friends who will say, oh, whatever, Shaw brought a professional athlete's work ethic to podcasting or to stand up. And now with the cars, like, watch out. It's like, no, that's not a professional athlete's work ethic. I've been with UFC fighters, NFL players, they have horrible work ethic. They're just so talented, they get away with it. So that doesn't work for me. The work ethic, it's across all boards. That work ethic came from my dad. I mean, dad, blue collar, self-made. So when I was young, he taught me the work ethic. So no matter what I'm doing, whether, I was a janitor for a short period of time when I was young, I was the best janitor there was. I was there early, stayed late. Like, it's just a work ethic. So wherever you put me at, that work ethic isn't going to change. So whether it's in the car business, fighting, podcasting, stand-up, that work ethic is who I am.
First, we had Brendan the lawyer, then the business shark, then the accountant, and now the criminal psychologist. But now we also have Brendan the janitor. Maybe not, though.
I'm sorry. Did you say your first job was a janitor?
I was a janitor at Albertsons, yeah.
Like mopping floors?
Cleaning the bathroom. I got fired because they wouldn't give me the Super Bowl off, so I quit. And it was when the Broncos were in the Super Bowl. And I kept getting in trouble because they'd be like, hey, clean the bathroom. I'd be like, no doubt. And the 5 cents candy back in the day?
Yeah.
I used to grab a handful of Twizzlers, go in the bathroom, grab all the old truck and car magazines, and just sit there for hours reading the magazines and eating the candy.
Yeah.
And then finally someone was like, where the fuck is that Brendan kid?
Yeah. I mean, being a janitor.
I had to pick the cigarettes out of the fucking ashtray every morning. I had to be there at 5 a.m. Sucked, man.
What was your first job, Bri?
McDonald's.
No way.
Hang on. I got fired because they wouldn't give me the Super Bowl off, so I quit? Huh? Bro, you can't even go one sentence without lying. These are what I like to call the confessions of a degenerate mind. If you give him enough rope, he'll let the truth slip out from time to time, and it's almost completely involuntary. We may not know how this all ends for Brendan Schaub, but one thing you can count on is that I'll be here to document it in forensic detail. So make sure you go and check out the link below in the description to my Patreon if you're interested in my longer form uncensored content. While you're here though, hit the subscribe button and make sure you give me a thumbs up if you ended up liking this video. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.
I don't have to tell you this. Everybody's got an opinion, and they love to be able to tell you what their opinion about you is, right? And it can be flat out fucking hurtful at times. You have to have the thickest fucking skin out there.